Welcome to the 5-Minute Prime Podcast. Quick, actionable tips to master personal finance and real estate investing. In just 5 minutes a day, we'll help you build wealth and achieve financial freedom. There's a number on your screen right now that's lying to you. It's the estimate on your rental, the one the app says it's worth. You bought it years ago, it's up $100,000 on paper, and on a slow Sunday, when the tenant emails again about the rent, that number whispers, you could just be done. Hey, Prime investors, Martin Maxwell here. Welcome back to the 5-Minute Prime Podcast. It's Manage Week, and today we're having the conversation almost every small landlord is having quietly in their head in 2026. There are about 15 million single-family rentals in this country, and nearly 90% of them are owned by people with 1 to 5 properties. That's not Wall Street. That's you, your neighbor, the guy at the meetup. And a lot of you are sitting on one property that's gone thin and wondering if it's time to get out. So let's run the real math on that, not the feelings, the math. First, why it went thin, because you should know you're not crazy and you're not alone. The 2026 rental market is soft. National rental vacancy is sitting north of 7%. Single-family rents are barely positive nationwide, and they're actually negative year over year across a lot of the Sun Belt, where a wave of new supply is going to keep pressure on through 2027. We covered the buy side of this on Monday, the flat rent summer. This is the other side of it. If your rental's barely clearing, that's not a personal failure. That's the market, and it shows up in the small stuff. The tenant who asks for $100 off to renew, and you say yes because a vacancy in this market scares you more than the $100. The turnover that costs you $3,000 in 2 months, insurance up again, taxes up again, rent flat. None of those numbers are huge on their own, but stack them, and a property that cash flowed $300 a month 2 years ago is clearing $50 now. That's the slow leak that puts the sell question on the table. And here's the thing keeping you stuck: your mortgage. If you locked a 3 or 4% rate a few years back, every instinct says, don't let it go. So you sit. Thin cash flow, frozen in place. That feeling has a name, and I'll get to it. Most people in that chair see 2 doors, sell or hold, and both of them have a trap. Let's open door 1, sell, and meet the only number that matters, the after-tax net. Say you bought at $185,000, and the app says it's worth $295 today. Feels like $110,000 of profit, right? Now actually sell it. The IRS wants its cut of 2 separate things. First, depreciation recapture. Every year you owned it, you wrote off depreciation and call it $54,000 over a decade. That was great while you held it. But when you sell, the IRS takes that write-off back at a rate up to 25%. There's about $13,000, $14,000 gone. Second, the capital gain itself, taxed at 15 or 20%, plus a 3.8% surtax if your income's over the line. Call that another 16, 18 grand. Then add your selling costs. Commissions, closing, call it 7% of $295, so about $20,000. So the 110 you were celebrating, after the tax and the costs, you're netting closer to 60. Almost half of it evaporated, and most people never run that number before they list. And one more thing on door 1, because I hear this constantly, I'll just use the home sale exclusion. No, the $250,000/$500,000 tax-free exclusion is for your home. A pure rental does not get it, not unless you actually lived in the place 2 of the last 5 years. Don't build your exit plan on a tax break you don't qualify for. Your CPA will tell you the same thing, and your CPA runs these actual numbers, not me. Okay, door 2, hold. The trap here is quieter. It's that 3% mortgage. To leave, you give it up and buy your next thing on 7% plus debt. Put a number on it. Say you owe $120,000 at 3.5%. That's about $4,200 a year in interest. Replace that same balance with 7.25% money, and you're paying more like $8,700 a year. That's about $4,500 a year, every year, just for the privilege of using newer money. I call it the lock-in tax. And sometimes the lock-in tax is higher than the drag of holding a thin rental, in which case the right move is to grit your teeth and keep it. Holding isn't quitting. Sometimes it's the discipline. but I've also watched people cling to a 3% rate while the property bleeds $300 a month, telling themselves it's discipline when it's really just stubbornness. The lock-in tax is a number. Run it, don't feel it, but here's where most people stop. At 2 doors, and they miss the third corner of the triangle entirely. Door 3, the 1031 exchange. This is the one that changes the whole decision. A 1031 lets you sell the tired rental and roll the entire stack, the gain and the depreciation recapture, into another investment property and defer all of that tax, not reduce it. Defer it. That 30 grand the IRS was going to take in door 1, it stays in the deal, working for you if you trade up instead of cashing out. There are rules, and they're strict. You have 45 days from the sale to identify your replacement, 180 days to close, and a qualified intermediary has to hold the money. If the cash touches your hands, the whole thing's blown. And 2 honest catches most people skip. 1, to defer all of it, you have to buy something of equal or greater value and replace the debt. Try to pocket some cash on the way through, and that piece, they call it boot, gets taxed. 2, that 45-day clock is brutal. In a tight market, it can shove you into a worse property just to dodge the tax. And a 1031 into a bad deal is just a tax-deferred mistake. So this is a planned move, not a panic move. Defer the tax. Don't let the clock pick your next property. Here's what it looks like in practice. You've got a tired single-family rental in a softening Sunbelt metro that's clearing $50 a month. You sell it, and instead of pocketing the cash and writing the IRS a $30,000 check, you 1031 the whole stack into, say, a small multifamily in a steadier Midwest market, or even just a newer single family in a metro that isn't drowning in supply. Same equity, no tax bill, and now it's working in a better spot. For the tired landlord, the answer is so often not sell and not hold. It's redeploy. Get out of the underperformer, keep every dollar of equity intact, and put it somewhere that actually cash flows. That's the exit triangle. Sell, hold, or redeploy. 3 doors, not 2. If you've already sold a rental, this isn't me second-guessing you. A clean exit at a fair after-tax net is a win. Full stop. This is for the people still holding the question. And here's the gut check before you touch the math. Ask yourself whether you're tired of this property or tired of real estate. Because if it's just this one, the soft metro, the needy tenant, the number that won't move, that's exactly what the third door fixes. Don't quit the asset class because one property wore you out. So here's your challenge this week. Pull up your tired rental and run the after-tax net, not the online estimate. Estimate your recapture, your gain, your selling costs, and find the real number you'd walk away with. Then ask yourself the triangle. Is that net minus the lock-in tax actually better than redeploying it through a 1031 into something stronger? Then, and this is the then what, call your CPA with one question before you do anything. If I 1031 this, what's my timeline? Because the worst version of the story is the person who sells in a panic, eats the full tax bill, and finds out about the third door a week too late. Sell on your numbers, not your feelings. I'll see you Thursday.